Good morning, everyone. My name is Lydia. I'm a program coordinator at the Open Door Initiative. First of all, I would like to let you know that there will be a recording of the webinar, and later, this video will be posted on our YouTube channel. If you don't want to be public, you can turn off your camera and also make sure that your microphone is turned off during the webinar. Also, you can turn on captions. It's on the bottom of your screen. For those who haven't worked with us before, Open Door is a non-profit organization that supports people with disabilities or with a criminal history. I coordinate the Pathway to Progress program, which is focused on supporting migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers to access employment, further education, and self-employment. I would also like to share the information that on April 24 at 10 a.m., there will be a webinar on how to start a business in Ireland, about different type of business, about taxation, useful resources, and others information. This webinar will be held in Ukrainian language, and the link will be posted in the chat. We are happy to be here today with Killian, who's development advisor for high potential startups at Enterprise Ireland. He's going to share information and advice on how to access funding for early stage entrepreneurs in Ireland, from microfinancing to government grants. You also have an option to ask in Q&A box at the bottom on the screen, so you can ask your question. So I would like to invite our guest Killian to start his presentation. Killian, you are welcome.
Thank you very much for the warm introduction. Great to be here today. I'm just going to share my screen with you now, folks, and hopefully we can, there we go, get into it. So yes, as Lydia said, I work for Enterprise Ireland, which is a government agency responsible for helping and supporting sort of high potential startup companies and established companies across Ireland. Today, I'm just going to go through at a very high level all of the supports I think might be relevant to you. I know a little bit about this audience. Lydia talked me through them through what you guys do before. I've tried to tailor it a little bit towards what I think the audience is, but if there's anything I haven't covered here, please let me know in chat. Happy to answer any questions as best I can. And yeah, look forward to answering those later on. All right, so let me get into it. The startup landscape in Ireland is quite comprehensive, let's say. There's supports across kind of all areas, and when it comes to funding, there's a lot of different options available to startups. I'm very aware of that. I know it can be confusing, and I think as an agency, Enterprise Ireland is very familiar with the problem of confusion that we cause. I think for any company looking to start up, any entrepreneur looking to start up, this is probably the first place that you should go. It's a webpage we developed to kind of lay out in full everything that is available to start up companies in Ireland. Here's the web link, www.startinireland.com. I might just switch my share over now and kind of walk you through this webpage. Hopefully this will go smoothly. So this is what the webpage looks like. We ask you sort of 4 basic questions about what your business is and what stage you're at, and from that then we will sort of outline all of the supports that are available very comprehensively. So say you are an early stage food and drink company, you are sort of up and going a little bit, you've got some customers, and you are looking to see everything that's available to you. You put your location in here. I'm going to put Dublin in. I understand that quite a few people are based in Dublin. And then we should be able to see 94 different kinds of facilities, programs, spaces, etc., available to any people in that area, anything that might be relevant for you. You can have a scroll through this yourselves. I would recommend it. It's very useful, and it's importantly very comprehensive. So that's just the place to start, I guess, in my view. From there, then let me just share my screen back again. The kind of first point of call when it comes to engaging with the government, I would say, when it comes to engaging with startup supports at all, should be your local enterprise office. These are a series of offices across the country in every county, most of the major towns, that are set up to provide supports to the small business community of Ireland. If you have any questions about what is available out to you, if you have any questions at all about starting your own business, the local enterprise offices should be there to help you do that. I will share my slides after this, so you'll see there's some hyperlinks in here. I'll make sure those go out to you all, anyone who's registered for this event. But yes, the local enterprise offices are the first place to go. They do training programs, financial supports, there's mentoring available through that. If I click on here, you'll see the Start Your Own Business program. This is the very earliest stage support. I'm sure there are some people here who have been entrepreneurs in the past. Some of this may be relevant to you, some of it may be relevant to you, learning how to set up a business in Ireland, and some of it might be a little bit early on for you. But I think for anybody looking to start their own business, this is a great program. It will talk you through all of the basics in terms of the legals, tax and insurance, all of that, talk you through financial planning, sources of funding, promoting your business, developing your business plan. And it's available to basically anyone who wants to start a business or recently has started a business. That's something that might be available. That's something that might be of interest to you. Beyond that, if you're up and running and you're looking to broaden your skills, the Leos run an Accelerate Management Development Program. This is designed to kind of help participants work through specific challenges that they have and kind of outline a strategic roadmap for the business going forward. This could be useful to anyone who is currently up and running or has run a business in the past and is looking to kind of sharpen up your skills. When it comes to grants, your local enterprise office will be the first point of call for any grants that you might wish to avail of. I should say that grants are targeted primarily, not exclusively, primarily towards businesses or individuals operating in manufacturing or internationally traded service sectors. That's how it is within the EU across all countries. And there are some supports you can avail of if you are outside of that definition. But if you have a question about this criteria, please contact your Leo, and they'll be able to kind of help you determine whether this applies to you. So if it does, there are a number of different grants. The first of these I would look at is a feasibility grant. It's designed for early stage companies who are looking to kind of assess and determine whether there is demand for their product or the service that they are looking to provide. The feasibility study grant will support up to 50% of the cost of the activity, up to a total amount of €15,000. This can be across market research, consultancy, technical development, prototype development. It will help support salaries and known labor and any other miscellaneous costs that are involved in investigating the feasibility of a new business or a new proposition. That would be the sort of earliest stage grant we would be looking at. Beyond that, we have the Leo Priming Grant. A priming grant is available to micro enterprises within the first 18 months of startup. The maximum total amount is up to 150,000. There's a few definitions there, a few gradations. There will be certain criteria that will apply depending on how large the grant is. That is the maximum theoretical amount, and that's up to 50% of the project costs as well. So that can support capital items, that can support new jobs, salary costs, that can support consultancy, innovation costs, general overheads as well. So that could be very useful to you to support some of those larger ticket items. Beyond that, the Leos have a number of other supports. We've got the Trading Online voucher, helping companies get up and running online. Digital Start, similar sort of offer. Innovation vouchers are provided through Enterprise Ireland, but you can ask questions about those to your Leos. That can provide up to 5,000 euros in support for research projects with suitable research partnership organizations. We have the technical assistance for micro exporters that will help you kind of get over some of those logistical challenges if you're just looking to get abroad for the first time. and lean supports then if you're looking towards business efficiency improvements. There's a whole range of offers. I've included the links there. I've included the links to the Leo website as well, which will be able to kind of talk you through them in more detail. The other key thing that the Leos provide is the mentorship program. This might be useful to you. It matches sort of early stage companies with experienced mentors who have the ability to kind of weigh in on critical decisions, provide guidance, support, talk you through the challenges that you might expect to face in your sector, in your space. But the mentors can provide support across sort of every area of business. They've all been there and done it before, and that could be particularly useful to you. Moving on then, so the local enterprise offices are part of a network of government agencies. Above that then, I guess we have our Enterprise Ireland, which is the sort of broader organisation. Enterprise Ireland is a government agency responsible for supporting Irish businesses in the manufacturing and internationally traded services areas. EI supports startups, which I think most of you would qualify, through a range of HPSU offers. We use that acronym quite a lot, so I've included it there, and that stands for High Potential Startups. At the sort of base of our offerings, we have the New Frontiers program. We then have a series of pre-seed supports and then seed level investment supports for companies who are looking to raise investment, companies who have an equity proposition that they would like to put on the market. We also offer supports through feasibility studies, capability development for appropriate companies, appropriate projects. So that's who I work for, and that is sort of what we do at an early stage. What does an HPSU look like? What does a high potential startup look like? Looking for capable management teams, people who can demonstrate skills as an entrepreneur, have done it in the past, or have sector specific skills, have the ability to sort of lead an organization. Companies which have an opportunity to scale. We're looking for companies which have the ability to reach, let's say, 1 million in sales, or the ability to export within sort of 3 to 5 years of becoming an Enterprise Ireland client. A funding plan. We're looking for companies that have an ambition to raise equity investment, and we're looking for innovative products which have the ability to export and go abroad. So not just interested in Ireland, but have a global sort of ambition. That's really what we're looking for there. At our sort of earliest stages of supports, we have the New Frontiers program. This is the National Entrepreneurship Development Program, open to early stage companies who have an ambition or a potential to scale. It starts, it's split into 3 phases, and it starts at a very early stage. Phase 1 is open to very basic business propositions. If you have an idea, and you have a willingness and inclination to see that idea through, or even just to test it in the market, phase 1 is a great place to start. We'll talk you through over the course of 8 weeks what is involved in testing a business idea, what kind of traction is, what kind of steps are needed to be taken to demonstrate to get traction into your business. At phase 2, we have a more sort of comprehensive developing your business phase. Over the course of 6 months, you can access 15,000 euros in tax-free stipends and co-working space for your business. So this is the sort of, I guess, the main part of New Frontiers. This is the bit that we kind of put the most work into the companies. We want to see them come out of that with a business plan. We want to see them come out of that with a good understanding of where they need to be and what they need to be doing, and what their business will look like moving forwards. If that is enough for your business, you can move on after phase 2. But if you need a little bit more time to work through that, if you're just kind of struggling to get going, but you have something you're confident about, there is a phase 3 open for 3 months, which will include 10,000 in stipend and co-working space for companies who are successful in getting onto that. That is the sort of the starting point entrepreneurship development program, and from there we have a sort of a series of further offers. One of these is the Pre-Seed Start Fund. This is recently recently launched, only last year. It's a competitive call for early stage high potential companies. We can provide 50 or 100,000 to successful clients through a convertible loan instrument, an instrument which may convert into equity and may convert into debt, depending on the events that happen within your business. Companies who are successful in this must have the potential and the ambition to achieve 10 jobs in Ireland and sales of 1 million within 3 years. But if you are successful, there's a substantial amount of money up front. It's not a grant. It could be deposited into your account to fund future activity. So that is definitely a very appealing offer. We got a lot of attraction when we opened the last call, and I would encourage you to have a look into that if that's something that interests you. Beyond that, then we have a range of other supports. Our HPSU fund, which matches money against sort of co-funded equity investment from international investors, or sorry, other investors, let's say. We have lead supports, green climate action supports, strategic consultancy. If there's a specific area of your business that you need help in, consultancy that or where the consultancy might provide good value, and we can look at that. We have feasibility studies like the LEOs do. We have manager grants for hiring key members of the team, digitalization supports, and mentor supports as well. So there's a range of other offers that can be brought in to help a company if they're required. I see a few questions in the chat there. Will we do those now, or will we do them at the end? What do you think, Lilia?
I think maybe it's better in the end to get all the question. How do you think?
Brilliant. That is my spiel on Enterprise Ireland. I'll move on now to the other organisations involved in the ecosystem. Microfinance Ireland. So Microfinance Ireland is a great resource for small businesses. It targets companies almost specifically who may struggle to access bank funding because of scale or time in business. It's supported by the EU and the Irish government. They provide loans from as small as 2,000 up to 25,000 euros on 1 to 5 year flexible terms, depending on the offer that you avail of and what is deemed suitable by Microfinance Ireland. There's no fees, there's no hidden costs. There is fixed repayments. It's meant to be a simple debt offer, and supported by the EU and the Irish government to sort of help businesses rather than to challenge them. Companies who apply through their LEO can avail of lower interest rates. It's another great reason to go to your LEO and get in touch with them. That's a nice little support there. It would lower the interest from I think it's around 5.5%, something like that. So that's a good support if you're looking for microfinancing. Very flexible and great for small businesses. Similar to that, but distinctly different, is the Strategic Banking Corporation of Ireland, SBCI. It's another government-backed organisation set up to provide accessible credit to SMEs. Their facilities are in the realms of working capital support, invoice discounting, for instance, up to 90% of the invoice value. If you are making products and then selling them at a later date, you're struggling with cash flow, working capital stresses, this is a great resource to look towards. They also do hiring and leasing facilities for large capital purchases or whatever capital purchases, and strategic loans to support things like green energy costs or other sort of strategic ambitions of companies. So that's another good financing tool to look towards. If you are looking for grant funding and you are living in a rural area, LEADER funding is provided by the EU to support community-led projects in rural areas across Ireland. They focus on economic development, social inclusion, rural development, and this is another form of grant funding open to people who live in eligible areas. If you are Dublin-based, I think it's the Dublin single LEADER is the one to look towards. If you are in other counties of Ireland, there are 29, I believe, local groups who administer LEADER funding. I have links in the PowerPoint there, which should direct you to the place where you might find your local LEADER office. But they're incentivized good rates of grant funding and up to quite substantial sums. I'm not sure what the maximum is, but it is quite high and possibly higher than you might find in your LEO. if your project is eligible and supportable under the leader framework. Other support, so I've included Further here. Further is a business innovation center set up to support companies who are looking to raise seed investment. They provide advice on raising investment, pitch preparation, introductions to investors potentially for suitable companies. Further is one of a few business innovation centres that are open across Ireland. We have West BIC, Cork BIC, South East BIC. They all provide similar services. I've put Further here as it is the Dublin region, regional business innovation centre. However, if you are based in other parts of Ireland, you will have a more appropriate office for you if you're in Galway or the Southeast, who provide similar supports under different names. And then other supports here, the Seedcorn business competition. This is, I believe, open now or opening very soon. It's a business plan competition for early stage companies who are to raise investment. There's quite a lot of money there. There's a lot of different prizes. I think the total pot is €300,000 to be spread across companies. If you have a business idea, if you have a business plan and you are looking to raise investment, this is a great source potentially of prize funding. It's not grant; it is a prize for successful applicants, and a great resource that might introduce you to investors and anyone else. So I believe that is my last slide. I have questions up here. I have my contact address there. Please put questions in chat. Please reach out if you have any further questions after this talk. Very happy to answer anything that I can. And yes, I mean, I don't know everything. I only work for Enterprise Ireland, but I hopefully will be able to direct you to the right place if you have any further questions about that.
Glenn, thank you very much for your presentation. It's a lot of information, very useful information. Thank you very much, first of all. So there are some questions for you. First of all, do you help with getting funding for projects in emerging markets like renewable energy, tourism?
Yeah, great. But I guess the question there is if you mean emerging markets in terms of projects in other countries, or if you mean emerging markets in terms of markets which are emerging, developing within Ireland. If you are talking about the latter, we definitely do. Our projects are, our assessments are really, do you want to create jobs in Ireland? Do you want to export? Is there potential here for the business that you want to set up? So in the likes of renewable energy, I see you've mentioned there, that's obviously a large growth area. That's a big focus for Enterprise Ireland at this stage. We have a mandate to support companies to be more green and to help with the green energy transition. So renewable energy is a very hot topic for us. I'm very happy to look to support companies in that space. With tourism, for instance, then you might be looking towards more local supports. It depends on is there a technology element to that? Is there a service element to that which can be exportable? Those are the sorts of questions that we look towards. However, emerging markets, yes, definitely potentially eligible. If you have questions around a specific project, I would direct you towards your local enterprise office. They might be able to kind of address more specifically. Equally, if you'd like to outline something in an email to me, happy to answer that as well.
Thank you. There is one more question. Do I have to somehow show my funds to receive the maximum grant? Are they a bank statement or just an indication of the business plan that I have such an amount? So how to get a maximum grant? What is the point?
Yeah, so this is a good question. The maximum grant amount will be determined by the business project that you outline. So the costs that are included in your application would have to sort of add up in such a way that it was a supportable project and that it kind of the maths worked out, basically, that the sums that you are applying for are the same as the sums that the project might likely cost. While you are in the process of applying, you will outline a sort of an indicative amount, and you will get approved or disapproved on that basis. If you are successful in your grant application, you will then claim the funds down sort of after you have spent them. So you will need to demonstrate bank statements to show that you have spent the money, and then we will sort of reimburse the costs that you have incurred. So there is a cash flow management point there, but there are ways to kind of make that easier for you. And again, depending on the body administering the grant, there can definitely be there's definitely advice that is available for talking through that.
Okay, so it depends in your application mostly.
Yeah, it depends on your
About your
application, the application costs, and you will have to spend the money in order to claim it.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, could you also talk a little bit about co-funding as well? Because I know that some grants will require, for example, 50% co-funding. So how do you prove that basically?
So there wouldn't be proof on the co-funding, let's say, before the grant application. From our perspective, we will only reimburse from Enterprise Ireland or the local enterprise office will only reimburse costs that have been incurred. So so we don't ask for proof beforehand necessarily that you might have the money that you're potentially applying for, because it doesn't really matter. If you don't spend the money, we can't reimburse you. If you do spend the money, then you have the money, so we can reimburse you. So the proof of the total project cost is not so important at the application stage, but it does need to be reasonable. It does need to kind of add up.
Okay, thanks.
So there are one more questions. Can I apply feasibility grant and new frontier stage at the same time, or I shouldn't? So I think that's the question about can the person apply for 2 grants?
Yeah, this is a good question. It comes up quite a lot. There are sort of restrictions around this. If your feasibility grant is including potentially salary support for time on working on the project, that may clash with New Frontiers and the stipend there. In theory, we should not support the same work to be done by 2 grants at the same time, if you understand me. That being said, it's a question that comes up a lot. I would speak to New Frontiers, speak to a New Frontiers representative, speak to your local enterprise office representative. They might be able to give you sort of more specific answer for your company, but there are restrictions there to be aware of.
Okay, thank you. Do I need to be registered with the CRO to get a microfinance loan? If you take loan obligation, will this affect the receipt of grant from the other organization?
Great question. In terms of Microfinance Ireland, I'm not sure if you need to be a registered company. I don't actually know the answer to that question. If you are registered as a sole trader, I think potentially you can still avail of microfinance, but if you are undertaking business in Ireland, you should be registered in some form or another with the CRO. If you take on loan obligations, will this affect the receipt of grants? No, not unless the business is deemed to be insolvent, and it's unlikely that the loan would be given to you in the first place if it was going to make you insolvent. So no, loans should not affect the receipt of grants from other organizations.
Okay, thank you. In addition to the question, after feasibility grant, what would be the next step?
Great question. Yeah, after the feasibility grants, the next step would really depend on the stage of your business. If you're looking at a feasibility grant from the LEO, the priming grant is a natural sort of next step. But it really needs the grant funding that we would administer, or your local enterprise office would administer, will really kind of depend on the stage that your business is at. So if you have a feasibility grant to support a specific part of your development, you may actually avail of another feasibility grant to help the business further along, assuming the milestones are met. But it will depend. It will depend on how your business is doing and what your business needs fundamentally. We are here to support companies. We are not here to flat out deny applications. But really, we want to make sure that you're getting the right support at the right time. And that's the big question for us. If you are engaged in a feasibility grant, your local enterprise office representative or your Enterprise Ireland development advisor will be open to answering these questions and making a more sort of considered judgment than I might be able to give to you here. But there is a natural pathway from feasibility up through the other supports that we do encourage companies to take on.
Okay, there is a question. Did you help new business at the training center for finance? I don't know what does it mean, but I think that the question is,
But
do you
financial
provide some
support.
support in financial? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a few of the programs there that I talked through, the Start Your Own Business program, New Frontiers, a few of the different training programs mentioned there will provide financial supports. The Business Innovation Centers do also provide support with finance and putting projections together. It's a big topic. We often work with companies who have maybe not so much financial experience, or maybe are uncomfortable with finances. It's very common, and there are people there who can help you across all of these organizations mentioned.
Okay, the next question, how difficult is it to contact and get a Leo assigned to me, and to what extent will they go to help me to get funding?
This is a difficult question. I guess your local enterprise office should be available to you, and it should be accessible to you. Some of them are very busy, and I know people talk about this. Some of them are very busy, and it can take longer than in other parts of the country. To what
How to
extent
better to contact with them? How to better to do it? In what way?
What is the best way to contact them?
Yeah.
Just reach out to your local office. If you are struggling to get a response, listen, send me an email. I might be able to point you in the direction of somebody specifically rather than the office address. Yeah, it's a good question. To what extent will they go to help you get funding? I mean, there is an expectation that, you know, the grants are filled out, like you fill out the grant application forms correctly and kind of by yourself. But your Leo should be there to help and support your business. That's what we're here to do. Everyone I work with in Enterprise Ireland and in the local enterprise offices is very enthusiastic about supporting companies. So they should be able to help you do that.
Okay. There is one more question. Can anyone apply? So I am from the South Africa, the participants, but I have a few business ideas that can do well in Ireland. So I think it's about the permission, what permission they need to have.
Yeah, so if you have the intention of setting up your business in Ireland, of creating jobs in Ireland, then your current position, your current location in South Africa is not a problem. It's just a matter of then going through whatever sort of travel arrangements, immigration potentially arrangements you need to undertake to sort of do that. If you haven't the intention of moving to Ireland and setting up a business in Ireland and creating jobs, you will not be excluded by the fact that you are maybe not from Ireland originally, or have lived in another country for the last few years.
Okay, thank you. There's one more question about partnership. How to find, it's not about funding, but maybe you can help. How to find a business partner in Ireland? I think it's about a partnership and about who can provide the funding for the business. Also, it's like maybe private partners can be.
It's a good question, and it comes up a lot. I think it is obviously easier to start a business with 2 people than 1 person, or 3 people rather than 1 person. In terms of finding a business partner, I'm not sure if there are specific networks for this. I would encourage you to go out into your community, go to events being run by your local enterprise offices, by the various startup accelerators around the country, around your region, go to co-working spaces, meet people as best you can, share your idea around. I don't think you should be scared of talking about what you want to do, and hopefully it shouldn't take you too long to find someone. But yeah, I mean, it is a really good question. There is no matchmaking service as far as I'm aware of, but I think go out there, be enthusiastic, meet people, and hopefully it won't take you too long.
Julian, does Leo only help registered businesses, or also those who are planning to start a business in the near future?
Yeah, great question. So you can avail of certain Leo supports if you have not yet registered your business. If you're operating as a sole trader, that's fine. You can still access the Leo as a sole trader. You don't need to be a limited company at the very early stages. There are some supports which you will be excluded from until you start your own business. But if you have questions about how to start a business, if you want to access the Start Your Own Business course or potentially New Frontiers, then you can do that before you have registered a business entity.
Okay, there's one more question from Anna. If I'm going to start just self-employed business, but my clients mostly will go to me through the social media advertisement, so I need some small amount of money for the start. Where is better to ask this amount? So when they're beginning and they need just a little amount for startup.
Yeah, this is a difficult question. To my knowledge, I don't know of anyone who will fund you at the very, very early stages like this. There is obviously funding available through some of the other programs we've mentioned there. If it is a business that has the potential to export, then you have a further access to grants. You could look at the New Frontiers program that will give you up to 15,000 that you can use to pay for these sorts of things. If you are looking for a small amount, let's say under 2,000 euros or something like that, I'm not sure if there are supports of that scale. You might look towards international sort of micro financing options. There are a number of platforms that operate globally and not within Ireland who can support these sort of small amounts of peer-to-peer lending. That might be an option available to you. It is somewhat of a gap in the offers that I have just talked through there. There may be other options, but I don't know of any, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you. But if application become unsuccessful, can we apply again to feasibility grant or New Frontiers program? If
yes.
the application wasn't successful.
Yeah, you can apply again. I would encourage you to take on the feedback, talk to anyone who would have engaged with your application, and make sure that, you know, when you apply again, you're taking on the reasons that they gave for your refusal in the first place. You can definitely apply again, but for New Frontiers, it's not a problem. It's just being conscious of the reasons that you were rejected in the first place, and putting in a better application the next time.
Thank you. There is one more question about how do I sign up for a meeting at Enterprise Ireland and personally submit my project, or there are another options of such kind of opportunities? Yeah.
So there is an email address that you can send, that you can contact to sort of arrange in this area, HPSU inquiries at enterpriseireland.com. I'm just going to put that in chat there. That is the sort of, I guess, the portal that companies will then be directed from. So if you send a contact to that, they will ask you to fill out a form, and from there we will outline the next steps.
Okay, and one more question about if I'll buy some business, cafe, for example, can I get funding for it or not?
So it does depend on the nature of the business. If it is, as I said, a manufacturing or internationally traded service business, then there are more options for funding available to you. That is not to say that all sort of small businesses cannot apply for funding. Definitely possible. It is obviously a determination for your local enterprise office. If it is a project which is taking place in a rural area, I would definitely look towards LEADER funding. LEADER is more accessible to the sorts of businesses that you might be talking about there.
Okay, thank you very much. I will just quick check. There is no any questions. They are funding support to buy clinics.
Is this just coming in? Funding support to buy clinics. I would say if you were looking to acquire an asset that already exists in the country, if you're looking to acquire another business, you will be looking at sort of debt options there. You'll be looking at a bank case rather than a funding support from the government.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Do anyone have any question? Okay, Liam. As you see, there are lots of questions because it's very
great. It's great. No,
very important information about funding. because all entrepreneurs always try to increase their business, increase their availability, and to develop their business. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Listen, it's been a pleasure. If you do have more questions, my email should still be on screen there. It's to be shared. I will send this presentation on. I'll get this presentation to you if you're registered for today's session. And yeah, please reach out. Happy to help anyway, in any way that I can. And if I can't help, then I'll try and direct you to the right place.
Okay. As I see, there's no more question. Maybe it's done. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming to this webinar. Thank you, Kilian, for your presentation. Thank you very much. And if someone have one more question about any kind of support, you can always use our email. It's info@opendoorsinitiative.ie. We will try to provide as much support as we can. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia.